Do you know the story of the goose who laid the golden eggs? It's not a happy story, but we're going to use it. So go get your pen and your courage and join me after the jump. Hi everybody, welcome to The Right Thing to Do. I'm Elaine Kanavka, and there's lots to do today in a short amount of time. So let's get right to it. Do you know the story of the goose who laid the golden eggs? It's an old fairy tale. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version just in case you don't know it. A farmer acquires a goose, and he finds with time that this goose lays eggs made of gold. Pretty great, right? Pretty amazing. I mean, today, I suppose it would be the equivalent of, Bitcoin. A goose, imagine, a goose that lays Bitcoin. All right, so ka-chung, great, right? Except that this farmer was not very patient. We might even say he was a bit greedy. And he didn't like the pace at which the goose was laying these golden eggs. The goose took its time, as geese, I suppose, will do. And the farmer really wanted the eggs faster. So it's like it wasn't enough that this fabulous, miraculous thing was happening on his farm. He wanted more and faster. And so he thought that if he opened up the goose, he would get to the gold faster. So he did this, and you can imagine the consequences. Maybe he had he had duck soup or something for dinner, and that was the end of it. That was certainly the end of the golden eggs. Why am I telling you this story? How are we going to use it? I'd like you to think of a time in your life when you had a goose that laid golden eggs for you. So that means a time, a person, a situation, something that was happening that was really going well. It was just steaming along. It was almost miraculous in its rightness and richness. And you cocked it up. Somehow it got screwed up. You did something because you were impatient, perhaps through lack of information or misunderstanding. There are many ways to make mistakes. Try and find in your past a moment, a situation where things were going really great and it veered off course. Okay, how did it happen? What happened? Now, I think the prompt is clear enough, but I want to underline something very important. We're going into some shadow work here. Okay, we're looking at parts of ourselves that we're perhaps not very proud of. It's important to do this, I think. These parts exist, okay? But please remember that you are not here to beat yourself up. The idea behind writing this kind of prompt is to look into your past at mistakes you may have made so that you don't make them again in the future. So please be kind to yourself when you're doing this writing. It's not about criticizing yourself or judging yourself. It's about trying as objectively as possible to look at what happened and how you might do things differently another time. Please write with kindness towards yourself, some compassion towards yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Be honest. It's not necessarily the same thing. Got it? Okay. So we're going to take 5 minutes to write about this goose that we had, and we've probably all had one, the goose that laid the golden eggs, or the wonderful thing that got away, or the great thing that took a nosedive or veered off course. What happened? Here we go, 5 minutes with compassion. Go. And that's 5 minutes. So please finish your sentence. But today I'm going to ask you to hang on to your pen for a moment because I'd like you to answer another question before I leave you. And the second question is this. Based on the episode in your life that you just wrote about, in thinking about it, in writing about it, what can you say you learned from this episode? If you haven't already written that in the 5 minutes, write for 3 minutes this time. What was there in that episode that you can see would be good not to do again, to avoid? What's the trap to avoid? What's the tendency to avoid? What was the mistake? And what would it mean for you to avoid it? How would you have to avoid it? What would you have to do in order to not find yourself in a similar situation? All right? Look at your situation, look at your goose that laid the golden eggs, and how can you not repeat that mistake? 3 minutes, go. And that's 3 minutes. So this time you can finish your sentence and put down your pen. We're done for this video. Now, if you have any kind of emotional residue left over from this question, if it stirred stuff up and you feel like you're not done with it, okay, please take a few minutes right now or at some other point in your day to write about those emotions. Don't stay stuck with them. Write them down and then move on. Because remember, the point of writing this stuff, of looking into these things that aren't so bright and shiny, but that are part of us, okay? The whole point is to not repeat past mistakes and to move towards things in life that are good for us and good for everyone around us. So don't get stuck. Write more about it if you feel you need to. And otherwise, be kind to yourself, please. Kind but honest.